Welcome to this week's episode of Thoroughly Entertained. This week, Krista and I are going to be talking about the new summer blockbuster, Man of Steel, as well as our favorite summer show, So You Think You Can Dance. Please go to our website, thoroughllyentertained.com, and sign up for our summer movie guide so you know what's happening every week at the theater. In Zack Snyder's new Superman film, Man of Steel, Clark Kent is forced to face down General Zod, a vicious warlord who survived the destruction of Krypton, in order to save his adopted planet.
Alright, so this week we saw Man of Steel. Before we get to our review, however, we want to ask our question of the week, which is, who is your favorite Superman? Scott?
The original film, Superman, Christopher Reeve, still remains my favorite. I think he was kind of the physical ideal, like the all-American guy, so I would say he's my favorite, but Henry Cavill coming up real close.
Because I really enjoyed this movie, Henry Cavill definitely wins this for me. It doesn't hurt that he's absolutely stunning. But no, because I like the movie so much and don't care much for almost any of the other Superman movies, this definitely has to go to him.
Okay, so what was your favorite thing about the Superman film?
I liked that it had more heart and more depth to the actual story itself. One of the things that I was hoping for and got, because Christopher Nolan, who transformed the Batman franchise, was the producer and co-writer of this particular movie, he really he fleshed out that backstory and added that sort of treatment to it. I feel more for Superman. They make him more vulnerable, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree because Superman is such a physically dynamic character that he has no physical vulnerabilities. In order to make him relatable, you have to make him emotionally vulnerable, and that was a real strength of the film. Probably what I thought was the overriding strength is, I thought the action sequences were fantastic. I know you think they were a little bit long, and that may be true, but they were visually as spectacular as anything we've seen this summer, and Zack Snyder is great at taking these gigantic action set pieces and putting them on the screen where they belong. Like, this is a movie screen movie.
The other thing that I really liked about the movie is the choice of casting. Russell Crowe was strong as
Jor-El,
the father. Kevin Costner, I'm forgetting his name, was Jonathan Kent, and was strong, and I would have liked even more with him because he really provides that moral fiber for Clark as he's growing up. But I thought the standout role for me was Amy Adams as Lois Lane. I liked the fact that we have a strong, confident woman who's good at her job, and she's intelligent, and doesn't rely on her sex appeal to hold her character, because it was never about her looks in this movie, it was only about her talent. And I know I was talking to someone else and they were complaining that she wasn't sexy enough, but that's what I liked most about her, was the fact that her beauty was relatable and it didn't overpower her character in any way.
Yeah, and she plays it very courageously. She mentions early on in the film, when she's speaking to somebody in the military, that she was embedded with a unit in Afghanistan for a little while. And, it shows her as somebody who's willing to put herself in those dangerous situations because she goes where the story is. That's her job, and she doesn't shy away from it, and I really like that. Alongside Amy Adams, I thought Michael Sheen was great as General Zod. Superhero movies, as I've said multiple times, live and die with the villain. He is a great villain, and he has had a phenomenal year, and especially a summer in movies. He was in Mud, which we loved. He got rave reviews for The Iceman. He's been great on the last couple of seasons of Boardwalk Empire. But Michael Sheen is having a big-time moment, and he is a terrific General Zod.
So what didn't you like about this particular movie, or what would you fix?
Well, I like Zack Snyder as a director, but sometimes I have issue with the fact that he likes to use kind of like a colored filter to kind of bring out the emotion in scenes. I don't necessarily think it worked all the time in this film. I think there was too much gray and too much brown, where a more vibrant color scheme would have suited the movie a little bit better.
What I didn't like, and you mentioned it earlier, is I felt the action sequences were just a little too long. At almost 2.5 hours, they could have shaved off like 15 minutes of this movie and made me wanting more. But I don't want to leave a movie glad that it's over, because I was just, at that point done with scene after scene after scene of building being crushed and destroyed.
Yeah, that's kind of been a running thing for me with blockbusters over the last couple of years. I think almost every big movie that we've seen could easily be 15 minutes shorter, but when you spend $250 million on something, chances are you're going to pack as much of it onto the screen as you can. So I understand the want to do that, but I don't necessarily think it's always needed.
Right. As a whole, Scott and I gave Man of Steel a strong A-. and definitely think it is worth your money to go to the movie theater and see this on the big screen.
Absolutely.
Currently in its 10th season, So You Think You Can Dance is a reality dance competition show where talented young dancers from the United States are paired with top choreographers as they battle for the title of America's favorite dancer.
So for us, probably our favorite TV series of the summer, and maybe our favorite show of every year, is So You Think You Can Dance. What is your favorite thing about So You Think You Can Dance?
I love every aspect of the show. Like, it makes me giddy knowing that I see the trailers for it. Oh, it's May.
The new season, it's coming.
Yeah, and my students know that I talk about it. I love the dancing, I love the choreography, I love the judges, I love the host, I love the kids that are on the show. But I think what I love most about it is the fact that dancing is not something that I can do. And so by watching these kids like transform themselves and like reach limits that they didn't know existed within themselves, and just the raw emotion of what your body can do to transport you to another emotional state is just so mind-blowing for me that I just can't get over it. I love it so much.
And I think the best thing about the show is how positive it is. I mean, right now it's going to be running neck and neck against America's Got Talent all summer, and I think there's just so much more snark and negativity and all those things in America's Got Talent. There's so much more of a freak show aspect to that I think it's so much more of a rewarding experience to watch So You Think You Can Dance, where everyone's kind of rooting for each other. You'll see the contestants crying
weeping
when one of them gets voted out, because again, the community of artists, especially in something like dance, is so tight knit because people work so hard, and the only other people that can understand how difficult life is as a professional dancer is another dancer.
Right.
And so like the sense of community about the show is great, and it is an uplifting, positive thing to watch. And again, I'm not somebody who can dance either, and so it's something you can appreciate because you could never do the things you're seeing, and so it gives you an amazing view of what the human body's capable of sometimes.
And I think one of the reason why it hasn't become as popular as a show is that sometimes people feel it's a little unrelatable. I don't understand contemporary dance. Like, I can get someone being sexy in a salsa, but like figuring out what all those weird movements are in a contemporary dance. And one of the things that I would encourage our viewers to do is to like give it a chance, because if you actually watch the show and don't just like skip through or fast forward to like the actual dancing, the choreographers like explain their vision behind the story, and the dancers give sort of their feeling as well. And then when the beautiful blend of when you hear the story and you hear the music and then you see the dance, like it is magical. Like, and almost every episode I'm in tears because it is so moving to me what they've been able to capture.
Yeah, and the fact that these young kids, who most of them are really just starting out in their careers as dancers, get paired with these genius choreographers. I mean, these really top choreographers, and get absolutely pushed to their limits all the time, and get pushed to levels of creativity that they didn't know they had, and levels of discipline and technique. Like, it's a really amazing thing to watch. And just from watching the show, I didn't start from the very beginning. I came in like midway through the second season, but I've seen almost 9 full seasons of the show now. Like, I understand so much more about dance now than I did. I understand things about technique, and I can tell when somebody's doing a step right where I couldn't imagine that I could do that years ago. I mean, it's such an educational experience for the audience as well that, like, if you've ever watched somebody dance and thought, like, well, that's amazing, there's so much more to it than that, and this show does a good job of showing you how much more there is than that.
Absolutely. And the reason why we're talking about the show now is that Tuesday's episode, they're going to reveal who the top 20 dancers are. Up till now, they've been going through the audition process. Mm-hmm. And so on Tuesday's show, they're going to announce the dancers and then actually have them dance in their style to really showcase why they're so brilliant and why they were selected for the show. And then from that point on, it gets into the competition where they're paired up with someone else and then voted off. And I like the fact that there's a little twist on this as well, is that although the audience calls in for their favorite dancer, the judges choose who goes home through most of the show, because they talk to the choreographers. They know what's going on behind the scenes. They know how much effort's being put in, what the choreographers say about the dancers and how much heart they have. And I think that that's good, because in an uneducated audience, only relying on audience voting is not always the strongest way to choose the best dancers.
Right. And again, the show really is at its best when you get to see the dancers pushed outside of their styles. And that will constantly happen to them over the course of the season. And this is a great jumping off point if you haven't seen any episodes yet. So we encourage everybody watching these videos or reading our reviews, please start watching So You Think You Can Dance this Tuesday. It's a great show. You will not be glad. You will not be sad you did.
Absolutely. It's definitely worth it. Best show of the year. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Thoroughly Entertained. Next week, Scott and I will be watching the new zombie apocalypse movie, World War Z, as well as Pixar's animated movie, Monsters University. As always, please visit our website at thoroughlyentertained.com and sign up for our summer movie guide, as well as leave your comments and questions and reader reviews and all of those things you'd like us to do. And please join us next week on our quest to be thoroughly entertained.